We live, man.
Yeah.
What is Smoking Canna family out there in YouTube land? It is your host, Dustin, with two buds and a jar. And with me in the studio, we got none other than Harry Cola.
What is up, everybody out there?
What is up, Harry? How
What's up,
you
man?
how you doing tonight, Harry?
Good. Shot some videos, got some stuff done. We're still working on a bigger project. It's gonna be pretty fun. I don't think we can talk about it yet, but as we get closer to that date, I'll finally be able to reveal more of that information.
Yeah, we've been slowly over time shooting things to all put together in conglomeration of one video to show you guys
Well,
out there.
it'll be
Several videos, yeah. Yeah, but it's fire, I gotta say, and you guys will like it. But we got a whole docket today on today's show. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a drink here because I got cotton mouth because me and Harry went through the vaporizer before we got on live today. Harry, if you want to, can you adjust to where we can see live chat?
Yeah, I mean, we should be able to see the live chat, but it might not be working for some reason. Sometimes it doesn't. Let's see
No
what it.
worries. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the docket while he's working on that. And we got a whole list of things to talk about. Some are different.
We got nothing going on in the chat. That's why
Yeah,
nothing was
nothing
happening.
going on in chat, but that's fine because we're just getting it up. So we got a lot of things going on in the cannabis world, canna family, and it is crazy. Let's face it, all sorts of laws, things being passed, things not being passed, all sorts of things. And we're going to cover them on today's show. So, first topic on the docket, and I got this all saved to my phone. What is
So
it, Harry?
what's going on with these crazy cannabis laws? 'Cause I've been seeing some going on, and like I think Texas didn't they just ban it all entirely?
Yeah, Texas just doesn't want anything to do with cannabis, which is kind of understandable because I can see from their, I guess, political standpoints. I mean, I know it's a very, just a 2A state, which there's nothing wrong with that. I love my 2A rights as well, but you know, um,
Well, I think it.
I don't think they're open to it. I'm not sure what
Well,
they're,
I think they got to realize that smoking something like cannabis or consuming cannabis, let's say, isn't going to make you more violent with a weapon. It's actually going to probably de-escalate because even if I'm really angry, if I get really fried, man, I'm not feel thinking about fighting somebody. I might still be frustrated about it, but I'm not going to be. It brings you down. It doesn't escalate. So I
yeah.
don't see why the big deal is with the whole issue with the what would you call it?
The cannabis legalization for the people that do want legal and recreational cannabis in Texas to be able
Well,
to
I
have
mean, I
that,
mean
right?
the
Particularly.
price comes down to firearms. And if they could just
Same.
accept that alcohol is
Yeah.
more dangerous at escalating
Excuse me.
issues than what cannabis is, you know, it, we, when you look at everything, I feel like cannabis is for sure safer and
Yeah.
less dangerous than.
Yeah. Absolutely, Harry. I agree. I do think it does come down, and I'm not, because I'm a firm owner of, the two. I'm a firm believer of the 2A rights, and I'm a firm owner of firearms myself. And as being such, I can see why, since, there's a lot of guns in Texas, a lot of people carry guns, and, so I do believe, it has a lot to do with maybe that. And if that's the case, I don't think that's right. I think, recreational cannabis users or, medical patients should have the right to, bear firearms due to the fact that, it is a 2A right, which 2A right, if you guys aren't familiar with it, it's to stop treason from your own government, primarily. So, it's to stop the government from overpowering you as a civilian. And it's also for self-defense as well. So I do think, cannabis users should be allowed to have that right, as somebody that practices both sides. I do go to a range a lot and I do use cannabis a lot. And I do believe, people should be allowed to do so. I mean, what do you think, Harry? What's your take on this?
I think alcohol is far worse. I think if somebody's irritated and they get drunk, then they could get more willing to do something they wouldn't if they were sober, right?
Yeah.
Opposed to something like cannabis, if you get really stoned, like the most likely you're gonna attack your fridge and go to sleep.
Yeah, yeah, so I messed that up. So your 2A rights, revolves around government tyranny ultimately, like a tyrannical government. So is what I meant to say. So I do think you should have rights as a cannabis user to defend yourself, and I do think, you should have the right to smoke cannabis. I mean, that's just I don't know. There's a lot dumber shit allowed out there being done with alcohol, and and there's more violence that erupts from alcohol. So I don't think a recreational or medical cannabis user that may carry a firearm that may work in a dangerous area, or let's say a female walking down the road at night and she may use cannabis. I don't think that's wrong that they would be allowed to carry firearms or pepper spray because those type of things in some areas you don't need it at all. And I'm by far not a paranoid person, but there's places I live around where I do happen to carry a firearm, and there's places that I don't, just due to, there are some rough areas. And I do think just because you use a certain medicinal plant and you have no violent charges or no domestic violence history or anything of that nature,
Well,
then you should be allowed to,
here
have a firearm.
here I think would be the only exception is like maybe if it's the person has never done cannabis in their life, maybe have a babysitter the first few times. Make sure you don't do anything too crazy. But,
Yeah.
after that, you should have a nice, good tolerance, and that should be building up. And then there's not going to be any worries after that. But if you've
Yeah.
never done it in your life,
Don't go
you know,
doing this. Yeah,
like
no.
so somebody
Absolutely
like
not.
me and you, we were like grandfathered in, like we've experienced cannabis from a younger age than we probably should have. But
Yeah. Yeah, guys, I've been smoking weed for, about what, 20 some years now. I started smoking when I was 13 years old. And but if you're just starting smoking, yes, don't mess with firearms. That's not what I'm saying here. That's ignorant. Don't even touch anything
But
dangerous.
once you've smoked
But
for
once
long enough,
years,
you have
yeah,
such a tolerance to it that it's almost comparable to caffeine. It would
yeah.
take me so much cannabis to get stoned that it's like almost not worth doing.
And that's a perfect perception Harry just put it in, guys. Think about this, Canna family. Some people can drink a pop and be bouncing off the walls. Some people can drink 1 or 2 cups of coffee and be bouncing off the walls. Some people, can drink an energy drink and it's just too much for them. But then you have some people, that drink energy drinks every day of their life, and 4 to 600 milligrams of caffeine just to go is not a lot for them.
I could
But,
drink a cup of coffee, and then go to bed.
and I'm not saying drink a bunch of caffeine here, obviously. 400 milligrams per day is the recommended healthy daily dose of caffeine here. But I'm just saying people have tolerances. And once you have a tolerance to just about anything, you can, I mean, there's people where, you can drink a beer and you'll feel kind of tipsy. And then there's people that's drinking bottles of liquor and, still standing upright and having a pure conversation like they haven't even started drinking yet. So that's kind of what I'm talking about in sorts of tolerances. And that's what that is. But my point is, I do think because Texas has a, more recreational standpoint on we don't want this because maybe we have a lot of firearms in our state, particularly, or I'm not sure how.
The politics really break down.
Yeah, in Texas, because I don't want to speak on stuff I don't know about, because I don't do that as a person.
But I
So,
do think
I
it
do think they need to
sucks.
be more open-minded, and I do think cannabis users should be allowed to, protect themselves, in self-defense, or protect
Well,
themselves from harm with a firearm or.
it's crazy that
you
in the
know,
year
whatever the case may be.
2025, we've had like how long has it been legal in California? Since when?
Since it was man, I believe when we looked that up, it said 2014.
Like 14?
Maybe I'm probably wrong on that, guys. So if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I don't live in
If
the
you guys
Cali.
know, let us know down in the comments if
Yeah,
you
if you
know.
guys know when
But
California
okay,
legalized weed.
let's just say it was 14. So
Yeah.
that really only gives us, like 9 years of data there. So six, maybe 11 years of data there. So that's really not enough data to confirm anything here or say so, but it is still some data to work with. So you should have some kind of analysis after even 10 years of, observing the behaviors and the climates and the conditions of where this stuff is legal and fully recreational and has been. Yeah, I think Hollywood's LA in general, that whole area, California, it's a different kind of world though. So
Yeah, yeah,
so it
absolutely.
is a hard judge, I guess. So I don't know, six of one, half a dozen of the other. Point of the matter is it's not we're not there. The plant isn't creating heinous acts. People aren't smoking and doing crazy things. Now, if other things are involved, then that's when the crazy things happen. But if it's just cannabis alone, I don't think that's creating people to go and do heinous or insane things.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think they need to be more open-minded, but I don't speak for every person in Texas, and I'm not speaking pure political standpoint of, both parties. So, but as a cannabis user and as a 2A rights activist type of person that believes in the Second Amendment, and the first as well, freedom of speech. But I do believe to a degree that they should open their mind and allow it for medical people. I do, to a degree allow it for, people that may carry firearms because may have medical issues, or they may need a, what's called a brace, or a pistol brace on their, firearm at home to protect themselves because they're disabled. And, people use cannabis for, that, or, people just use it recreationally. I don't think if, as long as, like Harry was saying, as long as you're a nonviolent person, I think you should have those rights. And I think it's highly demonetized even nowadays with all the recreational. People still act like it's very taboo. um, you know, so just be more open-minded to people's decisions, I guess, of, what herbal medicine they choose to take in. I mean, some people want to smoke weed for a headache, some people want to take Tylenol. It is what it is, right?
It depends on the severity of the headache and what the headache's being caused by. If the headache's being caused by the carbon from the smoke I've been puffing on all day, then more cannabis probably won't help. But if the
Yeah.
headache's being caused because of caffeine or some other deficiency going on in the body, the little cannabis might actually help with that because it does help with anti-inflammatory issues.
Absolutely, absolutely. It helps with headaches, inflammatory, just everything. Cannabis is amazing herbal medicine, honestly.
It's a
Um,
lot of interesting things. It really does help.
yeah, absolutely. So we got number one on the docket after Texas and that whole spiel. Sorry, guys, we haven't even gotten to the docket yet. But Ohio CBD retailers push back against efforts to limit hemp products to only marijuana dispensaries. Now, let me give my take on this, and then I'm going to pass it over to Old Harry Cola, and you guys can hear what Old Harry has to say about this. Um, I think I've seen and been in towns and cities that are much like this, and they have these just aftermarket knockoff hemp products that aren't licensed. You don't know what's in them. You don't know if there's acetates in their carts and disposables. Um, I think it's absolutely a good idea to just take I think all states should do this. They should have their hemp products and CBD products come purely from dispensaries. Because think about this, if you're one of those people that either grow their cannabis at home, you either buy it from a different source or you get it from a dispensary, you want to make sure absolutely that it's just good, clean cannabis, right?
Yeah.
And that's all that's in it. You want to make sure, there's no goofy stuff. And with all these hemp products that were popping up, they had no way, the FDA had no way to regulate them. So, to what that means simply is they didn't know what you guys were consuming and they didn't give the go ahead on it. So, all this crazy shit was being sold at the gas station that was under hemp, CBD, this, that, the other, and it'd be labeled all these strands, and who knows if it would have acetates in it, this, that, the other. So they're cracking down and saying it should only be pushed out of purely dispensaries, like CBD should. And I think that's true. I think they should only, if you want to buy CBD and cannabis products, and that way you have a store you can go to. You just show an ID. You don't have to be a recreational patient, but you can buy CBD or you can buy cannabis, and it'd just be a lot easier. Now, that is my take on it because I've lived in cities and places that sell all these shoddy, weird ass named products that are CBD, hemp this, hemp derived that, Delta 8, Delta 9 this. So now that was my take on it. We're going to go ahead and pass it over to Harry Cola and let you guys know what old Harry thinks.
So my take on this whole thing with the hemp is I don't really, I'm not that into CBD or any of the hemp products. I like cannabis for the flavor of different cannabises and good taste and terpenes too. So when I get stuff that just, it says it's one thing and you taste it and it just tastes like hay. And it's in a distillate form. It shouldn't taste like hay. It should taste gas.
Pine Sol, straight Pine Sol.
And it just tastes bad. And it's like, man, it's not what I want. I would just rather have the good old fashioned Delta 9 THC, you know, with
Absolutely.
the cannabinoids and the
Yeah.
good terpenes that taste good. Because hemp terpenes just there's a reason why everything will eat the cannabis plant. And there's literally one bug that will eat hemp plants. One. Out of all the bugs, there's one that will eat it. That's it. Everything likes cannabis. Deers will eat it, bugs will eat it.
Dogs will eat it.
Everything will eat that thing, that
Your
plant.
pets will get
There's
into
so
your
many
edibles.
pests.
Keep your edibles up, people.
Every pest in the book will eat your cannabis plant,
Yeah.
but only one pest will eat that hemp plant. And there's a reason for that.
Yeah. So, I mean, moral of the story, those things are terrible and they should be just pushed through the dispensaries because you don't want to go to gas station. Maybe you need some CBD for chronic pain. Maybe you just need it because you want to get, I don't know, you think you can get wasted off CBD. I don't know. But let's say you're stopping at a gas station and getting it. You don't want to smoke some bullshit that they just threw together in a cart and sold it, and you go back and look at fake lab testing and all this, and you have no idea what you're inhaling. It can really be detrimental to your health when you can just grow your own cannabis at home, naturally organic, or through synthetic nutrients. Or you can just not purchase stuff at a gas station and get it through a licensed dispensary or name brand cannabis, industry company,
Right.
really. So,
Yeah, it's just better
yeah.
to go. There's so much snake oil things out there.
Yeah,
We've tried
absolutely.
all of these
Yeah,
cannabinoids,
yeah.
and I don't think any of them were actually enjoyable.
And if you guys want to check any of them out, we have HHC, which seems to be a craze. It's just terrible. THCO, and we've tried multiple variants. We've tried moon rocks, we've tried carts, we've tried disposables, we've tried bud, we've tried all this stuff, guys. So we've been through the ringer with it. If you guys want to check those out on our channel, those videos could definitely be shown some love, and they're old school. They're really funny. The older our videos are, the funnier they are, I gotta say, just because the way they're shot, the way they're done, they're very comical. So if you ever want a good laugh while you're baked off your ass, go ahead and check out Two Buds in a Jar in our older episodes on like HHC, THCP, things of that nature. Wouldn't you say so, Harry?
I mean, comical, but um, in an indirect way.
Yeah, they're terrible guys, some of them. No, I mean, not really, but I mean, they just weren't shot to the best quality and scripted. Now we script everything, and
That was a yeah,
except our lives. Our lives are not scripted. We just have a docket, so we have things to show you and share with you guys and news on the channel and stuff. So,
I think I had the microphone hooked up wrong for like mini videos, so the microphone
yeah.
wasn't even recording.
Dude, there are so many times, just real quick, and then we'll get back on the docket, guys. But to get sidetracked, there'd be times we'd be halfway filming through a video or just wrap it up because we're shooting two, three videos. Harry Cola takes the camera off the tripod in front of us, and all of a sudden the cord isn't attached for the audio to come through the mic. So we're sitting there, and I'm talking through the whole video, and you're hearing him like, hit his vape and everything coughing and maybe yelling things I forgot, and that's all you hear in the audio period through, and you just see me up there like moving my mouth. So, and it's funny as hell. Like, we'll get through it, we'll just laugh about it. But yeah, that's what happens sometimes. But it took us a while because this is a little different. We're used to making videos and shooting from cinematic, points of view, and just doing those type of videos, just, based videos. So this whole
Well,
going live was new for us.
videos you can edit, and so if something's wrong or
Yeah.
which you can do more with the OBS system, but it's also easy to mess up the system and bog down the computer, and it's already bogged down, so I'm not going to try to bog it anymore.
Yeah, and essentially, what I was going to say is like, a lot of our older episodes are just kind of crazy. So, they're off the hook. They're good. I would check them out for sure. I even watch them time to time and then get a good laugh out of them. But we're going to get right back to this docket. So, Nevada lawmakers discuss a plan to make psychedelic therapy a pilot program. So they want to, and okay, this is my point of view. Like, I don't do mushrooms anymore. I used to a while ago. I tried a bunch of different kinds. It's just not my thing. But I've seen it help people. It's helped chilled me out. I guess it's calmed me out, made me one with planet Earth. But, you know, um, um, I'm just saying, I wouldn't take them every day. It's not something I would do. I have no problem with them because they're organic, but do I think it's a good idea for therapy? I mean, yeah, it helps some people, to be honest. And, I'm not saying you should microdose mushrooms every day, but
Right. I don't think it's an everyday. It's more of a recreational kind of event
mm,
every now and then. Yeah.
yeah, you would use it as therapeutic process, I would say. And I've seen a lot of like shaman and different people and people from native reserves and things of that nature use these type of things like peyote, psilocybin, things of that nature. But
Them getting into the mushrooms is a interesting step, but I think what might be an even more effective healer is can I say the scientific term? Not get in trouble? Okay. The scientific term would be the dimethyltryptamine.
yeah.
That stuff I think would have greater therapeutic properties, and I think it would work even faster than mushrooms, but it would work in a different way. I think mushrooms would be better for people with like PTSD, but for people that need to like get off of some kind of heinous addiction, I think the dimethyltryptamine would be the way to go for that.
Yeah, man. The funny thing about that is they've honestly used a lot of things for that. And like they've used cannabis to help people with their addictions, which we talked about that last stream, and the YouTube age restricted us because they obviously didn't get the context of the conversation. It's just the mentioning of these things got us fucked in the algorithm. So we're going to go past that. But back to the psychedelics, I do think it does help people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
you know,
It's a thing with something like
um,
I can say acid,
Nah, I mean, I don't
like
know.
waters tabs. Can I say
Yeah,
that?
I don't know, man, with
I don't
that.
know either.
But
I
just
don't
with
know.
hallucinogens and in
Okay,
general,
we'll
yeah,
just say hallucinogens
yeah,
with the stronger hallucinogens. That's not something that you take and the next day you're like, oh, I gotta do that again. Normally the next day you're like, you
yeah,
know what? That was fun, but maybe it's a couple weeks from now.
yeah. I mean, there are people that say tab after tab to the face, and I've met people like that, and
Some
I'm like,
people get off the roller coaster, but man,
I'm like,
it's you gotta be a roller coaster.
yeah, you got to get out of Alice in Wonderland, join reality some point. Maybe not. Maybe that's just how you roll. That's what's up, I guess.
It's wild.
hmm But I think it's a good form of therapy. I think it would help people. I wouldn't say things like peyote or ayahuasca or you
Well,
know.
ayahuasca is what I was talking. I think that that would work really well actually and faster because it's really complicated. When you're under that kind of influence, that 15-minute time period that you experience elapses into a 5-hour time period. And the what you can work through in that kind of space is way more than what you could in the other's headspace. They're different headspaces. One is more uh,
Harry has
body,
experimented
what
with all
the other
these.
is, and the other is mind.
Yeah. Harry, so yeah, take it from somebody that knows. Harry's went through every dimension that there is by man, and he's been back again, and
Yeah,
now he's on two buds in a jar.
up in this one. It works for now.
Yeah, yeah. It's the cannabis dimension, bro. Welcome to it. Yeah, you know. But all right, back to the docket, guys. Let's see what's next on the old docket. Um, let's see. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So, long story short, this is kind of, boring, but I ain't gonna make it too boring, guys. I'm gonna lighten it up for you. But cannabis is on the rescheduling table in the United States. However, Congress is going back against it. Trump's trying to push it. I'm not trying to make this a political thing because this is not a political channel, guys. So, save all that for whatever other platforms. But this is a cannabis channel. But Trump's trying to push this, but the Congress is pushing it back. So he's trying to get it where it vetoes what Congress says, and he can go ahead and push it and do rescheduling, which is great because that'll give you guys better testing on your products, your seeds, everything that you're buying. You'll know every little piece of information because up until marijuana was rescheduled, and recreational and legally, allowed in many states, they were allowed to do a lot of different testing. And as they're doing this testing, they're allowed in labs to tell you the exact percentage. You'll see some cannabises you buy or different products you'll buy that have different cannabinoids, and it'll tell you the certain percentages, the THC, Delta 9, THCA, THC, this, that, the other, whatever cannabinoid. Long story short, you'll get accurate numbers. You'll know what you're smoking. You'll know what you're ingesting. You'll know exactly what's in it. You'll know what works for you, what don't work for you, and you'll know it because it's on the bag every time. So eventually you're going to memorize it, read the products. What do you think, Harry?
Huh. Man, that is a rough one. So Congress is basically just trying to prevent it again,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, and that's the issue here in the United States is Congress is trying to prevent it. Trump don't care and he wants to push it, and they want to deschedule it and put it in a safer scheduling so they can do more testing and do more with it. And Congress is still,
Okay,
ranting and
so
raving about it.
if we could get it, rescheduled and get it scheduled lower than what it is, then maybe the products can be safer because then they can grow things at a um, higher class rating. I don't know, what would that be like FDA or something?
Yeah, yeah.
Rating, making sure that the water doesn't have contaminants, the dirt doesn't have contaminants, the air isn't going to have contaminants, and then
Absolutely,
your
Harry.
clothes aren't gonna have contaminants because the only problem, one of the big issues with growing cannabis is it does have the tendency to soak up everything good and bad in that soil. So if there's
Yeah.
bad stuff in the soil, it's getting into those buds.
That is true. And I'm going to interrupt Harry real quick. Shout out to Smoke420/CS. What's up, guys? He says, what's up, Smoke420?
What's up?
Rob G, what's up, man? Rob G,
What's
what's
up?
going on, man? And but I agree, man. I think they need to just let it go. I mean, it's been an ongoing battle. It's over. They've lost. Let it go. I mean, because
Well, I
it's
mean,
all these states are now recreational. All these states are now medical.
there's enough
So,
people in the world now that know that it's not as dangerous, but there's just enough people still that are still somehow maybe they're just pretending that they don't know or they act like it's so much more dangerous than what it is, but it's really not. If it was that dangerous, man, then I don't think either of us would be sitting
Yeah,
here.
we'd both be long dead. If cannabis was dangerous, we'd both be dead. But I've been smoking it 20 years, nonstop, 20 plus years,
To
like
kill
22, 23, if you want to get technical.
an entire herd of bull elephants.
Yeah, yeah. I've smoked enough indica that I could put an entire herd of bull elephants in the couch. You know,
That much more when you
like,
put them in their ground.
yeah. I love the purple. The more indica and sleepy it is, and the more purple, the more I love it. That's how I love my cannabis. If it's, I believe, okay, and this holds no scientific thing, but I
Straight
believe,
brain
yeah,
fuck.
this is just strictly my opinion, Dustin from Two Buds in a Jar. But I think the purple buds are the real medicine, man. That's just my opinion. Okay, there's no scientific facts, there's no evidence. It just has more carotene in it to make the buds purple, and it's genetically bred with other, phenotypes to make it more purple. There's no
Wait,
evidence, but that's just my opinion, what I like smoking.
wait,
And it's got to be indica,
all the magic of
100%.
in the terpene.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. That's where you get all your cannabinoids. A lot of people don't know this, but for the people out there watching or may watch this who don't know, your cannabis flower, long story short, I'm going to leave out all the boring science, but your cannabis flower, it just has little drops of oil on it, and they're trichomes. These trichomes have all the cannabinoids, all the psychoactive benefits, all the, effects that you're going to get from this plant. That flower that it's on has no real properties to it. It's kind of useless in a sense because all you need directly is those oils because that's what you're melting in order to get that effect from the flower. So all the trichomes. So you can always bet. Oh, we have a ton of comments
Oh,
pouring in.
nice.
So give me 1 minute.
What's up to some people?
Rob G says, here in Missouri, it is lab tested. Yeah, yeah. Where I'm at, it's lab tested as well. I got quite a few containers. I got four of them, empty ones, in the studio right now with me, Rob G, that are lab tested as well. Now we got more comments pulling in. Smoke 420 says New York lab tested, but fudging numbers, that's the issue. Yeah,
Yeah,
see, and now they're working on that too. They're passing another thing to really crack down on that because they're tired of people buying things because they're trying to lower it in dispensaries. So you have to get a second kind of license. This is a boring little fact in your local dispensary for them to sell really high upgrade THC stuff, or they're just going to be selling lower THC distillate to you, lower THC flower to you, and things of that nature.
that's rough.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's gonna
So
make it really hard on the defense on the dispensaries because now they got to carry two licenses instead of just one. That's crazy. And I wonder if the people who sell beer and liquor have to carry two licenses.
Rob G says indica is my choice too. Mine too. And Harry loves indica
I
too,
like
don't you?
indica and I like hybrids and some sativas I do enjoy. There are a lot of sativas I don't like. There are some indicas I don't like, but mostly it's indica and hybrid is really what I like.
I've been genuinely smoked no indica. I don't like however Granddaddy Purple.
Flavors. I'm into flavors.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because potato Runts was ass. I didn't
Potato
like
runs. I
potato
like potato
Runts.
runs. That was
I
a good one.
didn't, guys. It tastes really earthy and like a fresh,
French
dirty.
fry.
No, it
Like a
don't
dirt,
taste.
like a
No,
dirty French fry.
no, it tastes like a dirty potato and earthy weed. It is gross, but it is gas weed. It's bright or it's like not bright pine green, but like a pine tree green, and it has like a purple hue to it. It's really beautiful weed, but it smells like a dirty ass potato.
Just like it tastes.
Yeah, and if you're smoking it through a paper, like an organic paper, like I do, when I smoke my joints, I only smoke through unbleached papers. I don't use blunt wraps that have nicotine in it. I use the organic ones. But all you taste is that straight, earthy, dirty potato. And Harry loved it, didn't you?
Oh yeah, it was
Yeah.
great. That must be that Irish in me. It was coming out
Yeah,
hard.
I mean, dude, I'm German and I love potatoes too, but damn, man, I mean, fuck. That was something else. But
Some more
let's see what's going
comments.
on. How do you feel about Purple OG Kush? Smoke
Gee,
420.
gosh.
Now, I've smoked a lot of different Kushes. Um, President Kush, Obama Kush.
Kosher Kush, Bubba Kush, Bubble Gum Kush, Chocolate Kush. Um, Now I have not had specifically purple OG Kush, but if it's like purple and OG like indica, I'm into it. I would smoke the shit out of that. Absolutely. Wouldn't you? If it was purple like OG Kush strand and it was indica dominant?
Sounds good.
Yeah, OG Kush is a good strand.
I like the Kushes. There hasn't been a
Yeah,
Kush that I've tried that I liked.
same. I even like Orange Kush, which is more of a sativa Kush,
Yeah,
but and you know it's a hybrid, of course.
there's a
It's
lot of
but
different Kushes too.
yeah, yeah, dude, yeah.
Goes all the way back to
I've
Egypt.
smoked Orange Kush, Orange Crush. I've smoked God, so many different strands. Um, let's see here. Let's see. Oh, they're just talking in chat. Okay,
Okay.
cool. Okay, but anyway, back to the docket, guys. Sorry. Um, so let's see. The next thing is they're yeah, in Texas, speaking of which is where we started at. They're looking the lieutenant governor says he's going to push special session to put pass the hemp bill product ban. So they're even banning hemp products. So definitely no cannabis
Everything.
products.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, they're just not cannabis friendly. That sucks.
That's wild.
So moving on, man, we were just talking about that. New Minnesota bill would create state regulate therapeutic psilocybin program. So in New Minnesota, guys, they're talking about using psilocybin like mushrooms as a form of you know, therapy. And I mean, this is
Didn't
getting
we?
more prevalent.
Didn't
No,
we?
this is another state.
Oh, Minnesota.
Yeah.
So I think this and
And this
maybe it's looking like psilocybin's gonna be the
yeah.
next cannabis.
Yeah, man. I'm going to go ahead and jump out of the studio real quick because I got to shut a window that's in the next room because it is freezing in here in the summertime or in the, what is it, springtime we're in? Yeah, springtime. Yeah, it was warmer during the day, but right now, like, I can feel it in my fingers. So I will be right back, Can of Family. My
Getting a little chilly.
apologies. And then I'll read out the comments down in the comments section
Oh,
below.
we got
Yeah, you can go ahead and just.
check it out. Or should we continue on with the Minnesota
Yeah,
talking
so.
about legalizing mushrooms? It is very interesting that they're doing that. Um, I never thought in my lifetime I would see such advancements and such crazy things happen. So many crazy things. Um, but for something like this to be coming to the table, it's really exciting because I know from my own experience that it definitely can help people with all kinds of issues if taken correctly. Incorrectly, obviously, it can hurt anyone, but by taking these types of plants correctly and utilizing them in the right way, it can really help shift your paradigm and give you a more positive outlook on life and make those days go by easier, you know?
I forgot to turn the heat on, Can of Family. I'm sorry, guys. I'm messing up today. Yeah, it's like
They're
66
still
degrees
there.
in here. Now, in the summertime, that's cool, but right now it's like, damn. Yeah. All right, now I'm back, guys. Woo. Anyway, I think it's great, you know. So, if you want to use mushrooms for like to clear your mental health and you know the animosity in your world, if that's your thing, go for it. You know.
The comments.
Yeah, we did get comments. Woo.
What are people saying?
Smoke 420 says it's exactly what you just described. Purple OG, Kush Indica. So that yes, absolutely smoke 420. I would smoke that in a heartbeat. I love OG Kush and I love Purple Bud, but I have a OG Kush crossed with what's it called? Grape Ape right now. So it's two indica dominant strands crossed together, and it's essentially like basically Grape Ape Kush,
I'm actually
I'd say.
trying to germinate some blueberry kush seeds right now.
Yeah, you end up germinating the cheesecakes.
They pop really easy, but those seeds were sealed a little better than these other seeds. I had some that were like in vials and nicely stored, and others that were just kind of in bags, not as nicely stored.
Yeah.
So some of these ones are giving me trouble, but I'm fingers crossed. I'm hoping they're gonna pop for me. They're in perfect environment. They got the temp, they got the
Yeah.
humidity, they got the light, the warmth, they got everything they need.
I gotta say, I'm gonna be like popping probably yeah, the grape ape mixed with what's it called? OG Kush. So I can't wait to do that and get
That
that growth
sounds
started.
good.
Yeah, it's gonna be fire, dude. It's just hard to say like grape ape and OG Kush or
Gotta change it to grape Kush.
yeah, grape
Well,
Kush,
it'd be grape.
grape ape Kush,
Maybe ape Kush,
ape Kush,
ape Kush.
crazy ape Kush. No.
Okay, well, you gotta get some crazy in there.
So we got federal marijuana prohibition makes research complicated and leaves some states to risk averse state fund studies. So they're having problems about making cannabis legal. That one's a little boring. We're going to go ahead and pass that one in the docket. Um, so Trump tried to pass something on the cannabis thing and it failed against Congress. So that sucks.
But
They won't deschedule marijuana.
you know what the opposite of progress is?
Yeah, yeah,
Congress.
yeah. The opposite of progress is Congress, can of family. Absolutely. I agree to that one. Cheers to that.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I just don't understand the motives behind it. And then all these states that are trying to shun it, and trying to push it out, they don't realize that they're actually missing out on huge opportunities.
Yeah, that is very true, Think about it. Denver, Colorado made $2.1 million in the course of a year. Yeah, 2.11, I'm sorry. And that's a lot of money revenue back into Denver, Colorado, and they needed it. So it's like helping state by state and even places like Ohio, Michigan, California, Oregon, New York,
But
places that
and didn't Oregon go a little hard with all that stuff?
yeah, Oregon even legalized mushrooms, can of family. Can you believe that? Like they legalized the old mushy rooms.
They went
Mushy rooms.
they went pretty hard called.
Yeah, yeah, they did. So it's like now over in Oregon, you can like get stoned off your ass and eat a fistful of mushrooms if you want to, and it's legal. So you can just trip face all day. Yeah, yep. Let's check the comment section real quick.
Some more comments popping
Yeah, yeah, they're just talking. Let's see here. Feds defend saliva testing for cannabis amid impaired truck driver concerns. Okay.
in.
So
Is that new machine?
yeah, yeah.
Well, it's actually
Can,
not new. They've actually had this technology for a while.
yeah,
But
you explain this, Harry, because you
shoot,
just
it's basically a machine. You take a swab in your mouth. It goes into the machine. It tests for 7 different kinds of substances. One of them being cannabis,
yep.
and it can tell the officer if you've taken any of that within whatever, however many hours. But
Yeah, so
it's pretty crazy technology they
yeah,
come
so
up
if
with.
you drive a truck, they're coming up with like mandatory testing that they'll be able to test. So I mean, that's kind of crazy.
It has a weird name. I don't think I can say it on YouTube.
And I don't agree with that because cannabis can stay in your system. I mean, the more your BMI, the higher your BMI is, your body mass index, can of family, the longer cannabis is going to stay in your fat cells because it's stored in your fat cells and it's released slowly and then it's metabolized. So, and your body does that naturally without having cannabis in it, but because you introduced more cannabis, it's got a buildup. So, it travels down through your liver, it's excreted then, turned into urine. Then you have trace amounts of THC up to several months, even if you're not smoking that day. So, hopefully, this device can
Oh no,
tell all
it
that.
can.
Oh,
Definitely can.
okay.
It tells within hours.
I was like, or a bunch of,
It's
yeah.
really great device. So I think we got a comment, but
Um,
Yeah, it's really crazy the way this device works, and it is it's very accurate. I've seen it tested to like on a group of people, and some did smoke and some others didn't, and they tested and I could tell them accurately if they've recently smoked or not.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, it's good thing they do that though, just due to the fact, because that way a lot of people will not lose their job. So it's definitely a good thing, I gotta say. And that
Well,
way,
I mean, it's a good steps because now at least we have some way to at least, regulate it moving forward with it becoming hopefully legal at some point.
yeah, I agree. It says right here. There's a survey, and I find this interesting, Can of Family. Maybe you guys will too. Let me know what you think. 3 in 4 young adults say they use marijuana as an alcohol alternative at least once a week, survey finds. So every time, like when I was younger and I started smoking, I would always go to find weed. And when some days when I was growing up, weed was just impossible to find. You would go to this person's house, hang out, smoke some weed with them, chill out, wait for your weed. It would never get there. Then you'd have to go to the next person's house. Maybe they would take you a city over to this person's house and they might have it or they may not, and it was just whole giant shit show. So, it was times where there was like harder than hell to find bud, and we had to drink beer. And then, anytime where we had that option as kids, or not really kids, but teenagers, and you know, older teenagers. But anyway, anytime we had that option, we'd always be finding ways to smoke weed. So that's what we went to. And now that the study shows in 2025 that kids go toward, or teenagers really go toward weed more so than they do alcohol, it's understandable. I think the truth is getting out there further, and it's
Well,
even reaching like the youth to a
well,
degree.
alcohol always it kind of makes you feel uncomfortable, where cannabis doesn't really have that effect. It can with the paranoia, anxiety if it hits you in those ways, so that can make you uncomfortable that way. But it's not like spinning and falling down and throwing up. That's really uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'd much rather smoke than drink any day. Matter of fact, I don't drink at all. If you guys wonder at home, like, I wonder if this guy drinks out. No, not at all, period. I don't drink any day in my life. And when I go to celebrate like birthdays, holidays, New Year's, things like that, I just smoke more weed. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, it's one of those things. I gotta say, so it doesn't surprise me, but it is interesting to find that they're using weed at least once a week, because I was using it at least once a week, if not more, too, as a younger adult
Yeah,
at that point in time. Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I would say
yeah.
as an adult, it was like every opportunity, yes.
Anytime I could afford a half ounce, I was all about it, and
Any
I
opportunity.
felt on top of the world for days. I was
Fruit,
like,
I
hell
would say
yeah.
just about to be to go to bed, you'd be
Yeah.
like, yeah, so
And sometimes, yeah, yeah, sometimes you got to wake up, smoke again, and go back to bed. You get them nice dreams and that really good sleep, and that indica comes in handy, I'd say. Absolutely.
unfortunately, it does not help you remember those dreams.
No, no, no. Now, I found another one interesting. There's one place where Seth Rogen reveals that he would not and refuses to smoke altogether. You want to know what that place is?
What is that place?
Seth Rogen said he spent 3 days in Singapore in 2012, and you can't smoke weed there. The country's extremely punitive anti drug laws are made clear to visitors with a notice on their passports when they're entering that the comedian says notifies them that they're literally fucking kill you if you smoke weed in this country.
That's
You know?
insane. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't
Yeah, I don't blame old Seth Rogen on that. Like, there are places, there's a place in Dubai, and get this, guys. If you are caught, this is no shit, with a roach of marijuana in Dubai, you can spend up to life in prison there. It's crazy. Or the death penalty. They are highly against it. But if you look at Dubai, it's beautiful. But I think it would be a lot beautiful with some cannabis plants.
Uh,
What do you think, Harry?
I think you just gave me the funniest movie idea I've ever had. You ready?
Yeah.
Two buds in a jar escape Dubai. That would be hysterical.
Yeah, I'm watching comments right now. They're blowing up. Hold up.
Comment section's popping.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah. Yeah, Canna family. My dad does watch this channel, so yes, that is him actually in the chat. That's no joke. Yeah. He watches a lot of it and he loves the show too. Shout out to you, Dad, out there. What's going on?
what's up,
I
Dustin?
seen yeah, I seen him in the chat, so yeah. Yeah, he's in the chat room watching things on and off every time we go live or watching our shorts or videos. He absolutely loves them. And he had a lot of questions in the garden. I figured our channel and a lot of questions too. So I was like, our channel's the best way. And that's how I really try to show anybody with trying to learn how to grow any type of cannabis or plants in general. You can start with if you're into cannabis, this is the channel for you. We also teach you other growing techniques and things of that nature, but we have tons and tons and tons of content coming to this channel, like a really insane amount. Harry, if we shot so many videos, Harry would have a problem keeping up with all of them. Absolutely. So he only has time to edit so many throughout the week until we're back at it Monday again. So just know every Monday we are filming for you guys, and it's hard to really set up a time and date for the live stream as well, just due to the fact that we don't know when these videos are going to end, when we're going to get started. Usually it's in the morning time, but sometimes something happens with Harry where it's got to be later. Something happens with me, more likely it's got to be a little later, so we might, have the stream. So I don't want you guys to think we will be on. I've said that a few times, and I've tried to kept it from 4 o'clock. We go live or 5 o'clock, and it's just,
Sometimes it just doesn't work out.
yeah, yeah, and it's unfortunate because we're trying to keep it consistent with you guys, Canna family. We will upload, we promise that. Shorts every week. We still got more on the docket today, but we will upload shorts every week. We will upload videos every week, and we will be doing a live stream every week.
And then
Um,
there's other projects we're working on too.
yeah,
That's gonna pop off there and be pretty interesting to watch. Give YouTube something fun and goofy and just different, different from the normal YouTube videos that you see out there.
yeah, I gotta say it's a lot different than anything we've done, but we have done some one or two videos similarly like it. I think we've done two, isn't that right?
I
Yeah.
mean, we do stuff like it similar, but I think this concept's a little bit more fleshed out, a little bit more fun to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it's a little no holds bars and it's a lot of good fire comedy, guys. There's a lot of. I can't let too much go because I end up will. So we're just gonna.
Move on with the
Yeah.
docket. We're moving right
Yep.
along with that docket.
Moving right
It's
along with
gonna
the
take a long
docket.
time to get everything shot and edited, so yeah, it's definitely not quite ready there. Maybe in a few more months.
So AAA is hating on marijuana drivers.
Triple A.
Yeah, AAA is not allowing towing and insurance because you're stoned. Now that's messed up. Now we're seeing. I can't say that on YouTube.
It's like
Yeah, I
that on
can't.
YouTube.
But okay, you're seeing how do I put this properly? Um, you're seeing a discrimination between stoners. Anybody that smokes weed's completely incompetent of driving or doing anything, and every time they do something, it's their fault, is what AAA is saying. And it's like, how many times, guys? And I can see tons of comments in the comment section. Has your car got fucked up and you had to fix something? Your muffler, your spark plugs, this, that, the other, whatever the hell it is. And that happens all the time. Cars are not meant to, like, they break down and get
They get wear
messed.
and tear.
Yeah. Even if you keep up on them, it's just like something's bound to take a shit and you have to replace it. It's just like any other mechanical device. So essentially, I think, I just, It's frustrating when these things pop up. I think you should be allowed if you're stranded on the side of the road, medical or not medical, but car insurance and stuff.
Yeah, I
You
think
know,
that's kind
to
of
and
crazy.
tows because you get into a wreck. I mean, maybe let's say you have marijuana in your system, but you wake up the next day and you're groggy, you drink your coffee, you're backing up, some asshole plows into you. And
What
then AAA is just like, you know what? Fuck you today and your coffee.
that is messed up.
Yeah.
Is there other companies? Do they have the monopoly on it, or is AAA going to
Now,
lose a lot of customers?
it sounds like AAA is going to lose a lot of pothead customers. I mean,
There's a lot on the books, like 60% of the country smokes, so you know it's more than what's on the books.
yeah,
So
60.
pissing off more than half of your audience immediately. So AAA, you're going to lose some customers.
Back in 2021, it was 65.3% of the United States smoked marijuana. Now it's up in 2025. That was, 3, 4 years ago. So, yeah, I mean, essentially, you're going to lose a lot of customers. And I think I don't know. I just think I hate how they treat us like either children or just like we're dumb because we smoke weed. It's like, we're able to figure out things. We're not retarded. Like, sorry if that offends anybody, but it's the case, and I hate when they're like that, because it's just like there's accidents and things that happen to your car all the time, and it's totally out of your control whether you smoked pot or whether you smoked a pound of pot the day before. It don't matter. Your
Right.
car just takes a shit, and now it's AAA's like, we won't do our job because you're stoned. And it's like, bro, get the fuck out of here. I pay your ass, so much a month
Yeah,
and cover my shit.
it's probably not a good idea. I see the big point. I see the wrong in that bad. Once they get so many people offended
Yeah.
and they lose a bunch of money, then they're going to roll that back. And in some states, not in all the states that are dry areas and just aren't with it, they'll probably keep it the same there. But
Yeah. See, I agree too. And they're talking in the comments section. I seen Smoke 420, and I agree. Now, to a degree, like me and Harry said, you have to have a tolerance to like if you just started smoking weed, you can't just get in the wheel of a car because you drive every day and expect you're going to do good without like fucking something up majorly or slightly, that could have ended up majorly. So if you have experience and you've driven high and you trust yourself and you've done it 100 times and you have a tolerance to where you're not nodding out at the wheel because you smoked some granddaddy perp earlier
yeah,
with
that
with your
granddaddy
homeboy Steve, or whoever, then yeah, it's cool, man, but I don't think everybody should drive impaired. No, absolutely not. And I'd prefer it if people drove, unimpaired because it's a very intense thing. You got to not only watch and know what you're doing, but you got to watch other people. And some people don't know how to drive, and that's just the fucking case. How they got their license is still a mystery to, you, me, and everybody on the road. But they might have got it out of a fucking Cracker Jack box one morning and hopped behind the wheel of a car, like after a fifth of vodka. You never know. So I don't think you should drive a car or operate any heavy machinery such as like saws or, nail guns or, paintball, even shit like that. I don't think you should be doing any of that when you're stoned. I mean, I'm not telling you, I don't tell anybody what to do with their life, but I'm just saying, it's probably not the best idea. Wait until you're sober to do that shit. And then when you're healing up from all the paintball wounds or airsoft wounds or whatever it is you do, then smoke some bud and, but I don't suggest now like taking dabs to the face or smoking a whole cart. But, if you do have
just
tolerance to it,
just take the rig in the driver's
yeah.
seat, take the dab while you're going down the highway at like 60 miles per hour. Ah, that's how you live, boy. That's how you live.
Yeah. Like, what's that? Gary Busey. That's the Gary
Hey, if
Busey
you're going
way to
over
live.
like that,
That's some Gary Busey shit. I'm good on that. Yeah. Harry. Leave it to Harry, guys.
sure have
Everyone-
anything like
We'll
that
have a whole new series before this is over. Leave it to
before.
Harry. Leave it to Harry, man. Um,
Oh, we got more comments in this comment section. What are they saying? Hopefully, good things.
Yeah, yeah, I gotta say, yeah, see, and some people are used to driving stoned, and that's just how they drive because it's less stressful to them too. So it's like everybody functions different, and I think unfortunately the law can't regulate itself to each individual, and that's the problem. That's even the problem with me. I can go and function and do dangerous things too, such as I could go to a firearm range and shoot many guns and operate different guns and shoot rounds while I'm stoned off my ass. But at the same time, if, people knew that, it would be all bad. Same thing
Well,
if people get stoned off their ass and they can drive clear of the grocery store, they can drive, go pick stuff up for their mom or their grandma or,
I think
you know,
when you smoke and you introduce it every day, and you're doing it every day, and you get a huge tolerance, and at that point, then you actually feel more messed up if you didn't smoke.
yeah, you're dropping shit all morning. You can't remember where your keys or your vape is, and your vape's in your hand, and, uh, Harry Cola's going to the bathroom. So. I have to take over the show. What is going on, guys? I see the comment section's going nuts. That's awesome. Shout out to you, Canna family, that's watching. All five people, what's going on? How you guys doing? We have gotten 1,700 subscribers. I want to take a minute to thank you guys so much watching out there. It does mean a lot to me and Harry Cola because I sit there, handwrite the scripts. He spends hours editing. So it really means a lot to us. We greatly appreciate it. Like I said, when we started this channel, we only thought it I only thought it would get like 800 subscribers. I thought the highest we'd maybe get is like maybe 2,000 views on a video. But we have videos that have 16,000, 3,000, 5,000, And I mean, that ain't the most, but I'm not fighting for numbers here on YouTube. I'm just blown away that our video got that many views. So I'm grateful out there, definitely. Harry is too. He's not here to talk about it right now. Obviously, he went to the bathroom, but that's all fine. But I just wanted to take time to thank you guys because those numbers keep going up every day. The views keep going up every day. We keep getting more subscribers. We get more comments. And all you guys are relatively really cool in the chat. You guys are cool with each other. And so it's a cool little community that we built. And, I think it's amazing, Harry.
Needed the green nectar.
All the green nectar. What do you think about having 1,700 subscribers, Harry?
Built up fast.
Yeah, I gotta
Built up
say.
fast. I remember when we just had like we drop a video and it'd get like 10 views.
Yeah, and see, we thought for the longest time people hated our content, like absolutely despised it. I'm like, damn, man, like what the fuck are we doing wrong here?
We had to
But
tweak it so get age restricted and
yeah,
all the good stuff with
and
it.
since we didn't have age restriction, I've seen hundreds of views, and I'm like, what the hell, YouTube? I'm like, YouTube hates us. Like
Well,
that's
they don't hate us per se. They just don't like cannabis content in general.
Yeah, and I don't know why they don't. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into even what you see right here before you. There's a lot of lights set up, there's a lot of tripods, there's a lot of electric being ran,
A lot
there's a
of
lot of
wires.
scripting, a lot of documents, just a lot of, you know. So, but I thought it would be awesome, definitely. And take time, thank the Canna family because
Oh, right. Yeah.
yeah,
Thanks for
we are
liking, subscribing, hitting that bell, tuning in, watching the shorts, commenting, interacting with mostly Dustin. I don't do a lot of interacting in the comments because I'm doing the other side most of the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I had to get Harry on here because Harry's quite the character, and a lot of people love him. And, he's part of Two Buds in a Jar, so I had to pull him on the podcast because it just can't be me. It had to be another person, and we're a team. A lot of people for a lot of time, I mean, honestly, thought I was the only person behind Two Buds in a Jar. They thought I edited the videos, shot the videos, even though, get this, some of these videos would be like the camera right here in front of us would be moving around, and I'd be standing right here with both my hands on the table, right? But they still thought I did it somehow, and I'd have to comment tons of people, which they didn't know, but it's like, man,
a freak of fucking nature if I could pull that off. Like, but you know,
Doing magic. It's like, how
yeah.
are you doing this? Teach me.
And it's like, no, no, I had to tell, I don't know how many people, at least seven or more. I mean, it grew, but exponentially. But, and then I was like, we need to get you on camera, dude. I was like, people think I'm the only person, and we need to show them, like, hey, there is another part of Two Buds in a Jar here. And like I said, he does all the OBS, he does all the camera work. He does some scripting. I do most scripting. I do some camera work. He does the majority of it for all the filming. He runs OBS, like I said, he runs all the editing. Um, I come up with the content and usually write scripts, and that's pretty much, and
Yeah,
just
you do
control.
promotion.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
promotion and social media. Yep, yep. So,
Yeah, because I don't really like doing social media. I don't like getting on there and messing with it. I guess I do YouTube. I get on YouTube and scroll and watch random videos on there, but for the most part, I don't really do a ton of the social media side of it. That's your alley.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I mean, it is talking to you guys out there, and I mean, I don't mind it. I do it all day, every day. I talk to a lot of the Canna family out there, a lot of people. I still get a lot of comments. And what's difficult sometimes is I'll get questions about videos I did a year ago, and it's like, man, you know how many, clouds of smoke that was between here and now? Um,
Many.
and then I watch the video and I'm like, oh yeah, this. Because I want to tell them. I don't want to just give them some bullshit because I don't remember. I want to, give them real advice. So, I go back through the video and I'll watch it and I'll be like, oh, yeah, this. And, they're asking me about how something charges or works or how to exchange airflows on it. And this was, we did this a year, almost 2 years ago. And I'm like, damn.
I know some of those tanks that we had got too
Yeah.
are kind of difficult to work.
Yeah, dude. The THCO ones worked, I would have to say, the best. And I mean, they had the best effects. I gotta say, out of everything and all those, THCO just,
Not recommended.
yeah, I mean, I don't recommend it over cannabis, and it's illegal now. It never was. I mean, there's nothing in
Oh,
it, but
it's probably not good.
yeah, it's
It's
probably some,
probably not
yeah.
good. I think THCO generates naturally in the plant.
Speaking of people in the chat, what are you smoking on tonight? I got nutty coconuts, and it tastes exactly like vanilla and coconuts, and it's diamond distillate. What are you smoking on
Well,
here?
I was smoking on that peanut butter and jelly bud, but I think we vaped the most of it up.
Yeah, yeah, Harry's been smoking on peanut butter and jelly bud, and I have been too. We vaped most of it out of the stores in Bickle. We still got more. We might hook that up a little later on. You want to do that, Harry?
Thing's loud.
Yeah, that thing is very loud. I gotta say, we got good audio for once. Let's not fuck it up.
Turn it up.
Brrr, no one can hear shit. But yeah, so let me go on to the docket here, see what else. Majority of Americans say alcohol is more harmful than marijuana. Poll finds. About time. Let's talk about it. You know,
I mean, from my experience,
Harry, go
'cause
first, man.
I've drank alcohol before, but it's never really been my thing. But the majority of the times that I've drank it, it's always just made me feel sick, nauseous, dizzy, just not good, and weed's never done that to me. Now it has, but with hemp products, not with real cannabis products. So again, I can't say that the true cannabis has ever messed me up or greened me out or made me feel sick. It's always been these synthetic things or like Delta 8 was notorious for giving me bad headaches
Yeah, it tastes
or the
like ass too.
fake stuff like the spice.
Yeah, spice is horrible. We ain't even gonna get into K2 and spice. I had the worst time of my life on that shit. Oh, it was horrible. And there was only one reason I smoked it, guys, man. I was on probation at the time, could not smoke weed, so I had to find a weed alternative. And let me tell you, that was not fucking it. Yeah.
No, so
So while we already opened that can of worms, I guess we'll jump into it real quick.
what?
Um, the first time I tried K2. All right. And I don't advise this for anybody at home. Don't do this. This is just my story, and I absolutely hate it. So here we go. So I was hanging out with a lot of people. We stopped by this like gas station. In this type of gas station, they'll sell you cigars, hookahs, bongs, all sorts of things, pipes, the type of place, incense, all sorts of things. And there was a thing going around called K2 or Spice or whatever the case was, but this was Zombie Blackout Rain. And you can look up this brand still to this day because I see it and cringe. But one time I smoked this stuff and I was standing at a table and the table got further away and the people got smaller and then it got closer back normal and it did this 3 or 4 times. I felt like lightheaded, sweaty, and just like I was going to puke and pass out. So I went outside and I walked down, laid in the playground. There was nobody out there. It was an apartment complex. This was late at night, around 12:30 midnight. And like I just remembered feeling worse. Like I started seeing black around what I would see as color. Of course, it was nighttime, but your vision ain't normally like that. I'd be sweaty, I'd be nauseous, and my heart was racing. It was horrible. I'd be kind of hallucinating. Things would be getting further out away from me and being closer back like they actually are. So it was not fun. So I just kind of curled up in a ball, man, and was sweating profusely until it wore off. And then I got up after about an hour or two. It only felt to me like 30 minutes. It was horrible. But I guess I was out there about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And one of the friends came out. They were like looking for me. And, I walked over to them. I'm like, dude, I'm never doing that again. That was absolutely fucking horrible. I've smoked weed my whole life, dabs and edibles, and never had that kind of effect. And
So
they were trying to make it like weed. They were so fucking far from it because they were spraying JWH13, and there was a lot of variants of this chemical if you look it up. But it was a synthetic cannabinoid ultimately, and it just was not good for human consumption. Of course, the stuff itself was not meant for human consumption, but people would smoke it. It was made for an instant to light it in the room and then inhale it to have the effects, but people would smoke it indirectly.
So I didn't know how potent it was or how you were supposed to use it. Again, they sold it like it was supposed to be bud, so I used it like bud. And I remember I had gotten like three different kinds. I can only remember two of the brands off the top of my head. One was White Widow, and the other was Mr. Nice Guy. And I remember rolling up the White Widow and just passing it around, smoking it like a joint with my friends, and then rolling up the Mr. Nice Guy and passing it because he didn't feel anything from the first one. They were like, we'll roll up the other one and try it. Pass that one. Did by the time we finished that, I guess the first gibber had kicked in. It was bad, kind of like you experienced, sweating.
Yeah,
But for me,
seeing black where it's
for
colored.
for me, I had like I just felt like this urge to go outside, and I was standing outside, and I was trying to smoke a cigarette, and because it was still when I was smoking cigarettes, and I remember there was this giant pine tree that I was looking up at, and I was smoking this cigarette, and it felt like time was on skip and repeat, and I was just smoking the same cigarette forever, and I was being like chopped up and put back together in different conforms and ways, and it was not a fun experience. It was what I would consider a bad trip.
Now, Smoke 420 said he almost died off K2 twice, and truthfully,
It feels like it.
I believe him.
It feels like you
I'm
are
dead ass. Don't ever, and this ain't
garbage.
even for YouTube. This is my personal opinion from one human to another. Don't do K2. Don't smoke that. It's not good for your body. It makes you feel like you're dying, like you just took too much chemicals and you're dying. Like imagine being a wasp and being sprayed with Raid. That's kind of what the effects I'd imagine. It's horrible, dude.
It's not good.
It's
No, it's
not
not.
enjoyable.
And it does something weird too to your cannabinoid system after you've used it, and it actually makes cannabis seem less enjoyable for a little while.
Yeah, yeah.
It does mess up your cannabinoid system as well. We got more comments going in the set.
Yeah. Hey, what's going on, Shama? 369 Shama's back. What is
So
going on? Smoke 420 said I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. And if they are, they should stop now before something horrible happens to them. I agree. Yeah, do not use spice and K2, guys out there. Please use cannabis. It is way healthier and way safer. I know they're having a problem with that majority that I've seen in England or the UK. So, I mean, yeah, that's kind of died out here in the States, thankfully.
Right.
But if you come across this stuff, don't get it. You're better off getting like a CBD gummy or something like that than something like that. Because that stuff's just not for human consumption. With anything that you find in a gas station, I repeat, anything, I don't care if it's cannabis, carts, I don't care what it is, don't, man. Just go, go somewhere else and find it because like, a dispensary, a licensed place is where I'm getting at with that is, maybe if somebody goes to a legal place and you can't get there and they get it for you, whatever the case, just don't buy things like that from a gas station. I'm not telling a lot of you guys stuff you don't already know. A lot of you guys are probably sitting at home like, I already know this, but just, yeah. K2, any type of synthetic drugs or lab made drugs, stay away from. There's stuff called Red
Wait,
Dawn.
can we say that on
And
YouTube?
yeah, yeah, because they're not technically, yeah. I can't say why, but they're synthetic. They're not literal or physical, if that makes sense, Harry. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry guys, we have to speak in
YouTube terminology.
yeah. Yeah, so we're figuring out how
Well,
to do that amongst
I
ourselves
wonder
here.
what's going to happen when the terms that are considered offensive now switch to the terms that we're using now, and then the terms that we're using now become the offensive terms. What are we going to do? Just create new terms for the terms, or we're going to go back to the old terms? Is it all cylindrical, and eventually it's all just going to work its way back around?
Yeah, yeah, Shama says in the chat, smoking some Godzilla Punch THCA buds and some dry sift hashish, sorry, I have cotton mouth, from the streets. I don't know, the weed tastes good and feels pretty good, but the hash makes me feel a bit dizzy. Well, yeah, the hash will because it's a thicker smoke. So you might want to sit down if you're taking big tokes of it, Shama, just due to the fact, you don't want to pass out because it does take a lot less oxygen because it is thicker smoke when you're burning up concentrates. If you're burning like your concentrates like your hash on your weed or in your joints, it is a thicker smoke and you get less oxygen. Yeah, a lot of weed channels never mention that, but if you smoke concentrates, it is a thicker consistency, so you get less oxygen when you inhale, and that's what can cause you to feel lightheaded. And you might want to take time in between if you're feeling lightheaded and dizzy
If you
and
do
get
enough
more oxygen.
if you do enough dabs, then eventually it's just like, man, I'm still like, I tried some of the other flavors of the what was those the last dabs that I had over here.
Oh, those were platinum cookies.
No, what was the name of it? The
Oh, Summit.
Summit. Yeah,
Summit
yeah.
concentrates from Colorado, Canna Family. We did that reminds me, Canna Family, guys. We did a video on Summit concentrates, and we did a video on babies Jeters, and those two got age restricted because me and Harry are
Shadow
token
band.
down, and they got shadow banned. So if you can go show them some love to everybody that watches this, we would greatly appreciate it. Let YouTube know you guys like content like us and stop age restricting it. Because me and Harry obviously aren't telling you to do anything horrible. We're just showing you guys cannabis products and telling them if they're worth your time and your money. Money's hard
Which
to come by in today's economy, so we don't want people being lied to and wasting their money and getting bullshit, pesticide and metal and all that
those
filled
1 gram
products.
jeters are fine, but
Yeah.
what I was getting at is like once you've taken so many dabs, like I could take a whole gram in 1 to 3 hits with my tolerance to dabs. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, now those little baby Jeters, I don't know if you guys have had
Those are
Jeters.
fire.
I'm gonna check the chat here in a minute, but
3 of those
yeah.
sounds
Now,
fire.
this thing said it had almost a gram, which they must have counted the filter and everything, because there's no way they put a gram of keef and flour
No, it was a
into,
point five.
oh, point five.
Each one was a point
Oh,
five.
okay, so okay. Okay, Harry clarified. So these are like point fives and they have diamond in them.
They were fire.
Yeah, they had keef in them and they had flour in them, and they were absolutely fire. I underestimated baby Jeters. Now, if you can get them in full size 1 gram to 2 grams that they come pre-rolled. They're flour with diamond in them,
Nice
and
filter.
it has keef on the outside and a nice filter like a raw cone. I'm sure you guys had pre-made raw cones or maybe made them yourself. Hold on 1 second, guys. Zoe, be good.
Rabbits.
Yeah, I got bunnies and they pull on the cage and, they like to be loud when I'm recording.
You hear them thumping in some
Yeah.
videos every now and then.
Yeah, they're in a huge, massive cage. Zoe, quit.
She was on Mondays. She's not allowed out. She
Yeah.
gets frustrated.
Yeah, they're allowed to free roam and run around all day, real sidetrack, I guess. But I have 2 bunnies and one's going crazy in there because she's not out and she usually gets out and runs around and so does he. So I have 2 of them. One's a boy, one's a girl, and they're both lion heads. They're just little puff balls with ears basically, but she'll get frustrated if she can't get out and pull in the cage and just sit there with her face pushed into the cage and I can't let her out right now, Can of Family, because I have tons of wires around.
Yeah, the show
So,
night expires faster than you can say. Can't see the camera anymore.
yep, and they love the spicy spaghetti. There's been many times where my bunnies, well, one of them bit in a microwave cord and, learned from that mistake, and the other one bit a fan cord while it was plugged in and learned from that mistake. And, luckily none of them were hurt, but,
That microwave, man.
and I didn't think they would reach as high up as they did to bite each cord, and they sure did, but they learned. They had static cling, Can of Family, for 2 or 3 days. Their fur would not go down no matter how much you brushed it out. They were completely puffed out and their eyes were huge, So Zoe ended up biting the fan and I went in there to calm her down. She was being loud, pulling on the cage. And then her eyes were huge and she had static cling and her fur was puffed out and the fan had a cut in it. I had to put electrical tape around it because I had fan pushing in air throughout the living room and kitchen. So, and then Loki, which was my boy bunny, I was halfway up the stairs and he bit into the microwave and squeaked real loud and I had to jump over the stairs. And when I did that, it scared him. He ran off. I had to pick him up, see if he had electrical burns in his mouth. Same thing with her. They were both fine. But yeah, so if you hear like cage noises, I'm sorry guys, they're in like a 20-foot or a 15-foot cage and it's just they rattle it and it'll be loud sometimes and they're angry little poof balls. Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
Got some more comments rolling in.
Oh no, they're just talking in chat. Okay, cool. Now
Talking
we
in chat.
yeah, we can get back to the old
The good old docket.
yeah, the good old
What's
docket.
up next on the docket?
Oh, we didn't even talk about this. Alcohol fines. You did. I didn't. So the majority of Americans say alcohol is more harmful than marijuana pull fines. Well, okay, I've said this. I want this to be clarified here on YouTube, and it'll be on film forever throughout the Ethernet. I thought marijuana when I smoked it and when I drank alcohol. I know how shitty alcohol made me feel, and I know how great marijuana made me feel. I know how it made me feel the next morning, too. And I can just testify as a human to that. Cannabis was a lot better. I just have some mild brain fog when I remember growing up. And in school, it was really bad because I'd get really stoned on the weekends and go back to school. And my brain was like mashed potatoes. But I ended up passing. I graduated, guys. Yay, me. But anyway, what I was saying was, I knew this stuff at that time. And basically, when I knew this stuff at that time specifically, it doesn't surprise me now that people are finding that alcohol is a lot more worse. There's a lot more violence that happens with alcohol. There's a lot more domestic violence that happens with alcohol. There's a lot more deadly car crashes. There's a lot more just crazy shit that happens with alcohol that would never happen with cannabis. And I think everybody out there watching and is smoking smoked with a lot of people, and a lot of you people are going to see this, and a lot of you people know other people, tons of other people, right? So have you ever seen anybody just get into an all-out brawl after hitting a bong? I sure as fuck haven't. If you have, let me know down in the comment section below. I would like to know because that would be mind-boggling. But yeah, I think, I mean, my personal opinion, I hate alcohol. That's just my opinion. I don't hate people that drink alcohol. I have no problem with them. It is what it is. Do you? But I don't like it personally. I'd rather drink, water. I mean, personally, like flavored water would be great.
Give me caffeine
I know it
over
sounds,
anything.
yeah. I used to. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I've drank all kinds of beers. I've drunk all kinds of imports. I've drunk imported bottles. I've drunk liquors. I've drunk schnapps. I've drunk whiskeys. I've drunk this. I've drunk that. I just don't like it, man. It's just not my thing. My body don't like it. I don't like it. I like the organics.
Yeah, well, it's like being so connected to the plant, you become one with the plant, and plants don't like alcohol.
Yeah, I don't blame the plant. I don't like alcohol myself. I'm not a fan of it.
So more comments, or are they just talking in the comment section?
369 Shama says, I've been smoking since 13, but it's been a while since Sweden streets don't have good weed. Germany legalized it now in April. Yeah, I seen Germany legalize it, and I know we did a stream where the party, half of them wanted it, the other half didn't. I'm glad Germany got that because I think Germany should have it personally. I am German and American, obviously, but primarily I've seen a lot of things with Germany and a lot of hillsides, beautiful countrysides. They have woodland areas that are beautiful. And I think it's a shame not to be able to enjoy that plant and be in such a beautiful area, such as Europe, period, let alone like Germany or somewhere like Sweden or, somewhere around Amsterdam, Holland, those type of areas and beyond, because it's just a beautiful area. It'd be nice and it's really chill. Like they have villages, there's German villages, there's, more, how would you put modernized cities, things of that nature. So, and they also said that there isn't good weed in Sweden. And it's just, I don't know. Maybe people just need to learn how to grow Sweden or weed in Sweden.
I mean,
I mean,
it is a little bit different. It's very similar to tomatoes, but with a little bit more upkeep and a little bit
there's
more.
There's some good Dutch genetics, though. I
There
mean,
are, there are.
yeah,
The Flying
yeah,
Dutchman has all
yeah.
those seeds that
Maybe that's not in Sweden.
maybe, probably not,
Yeah,
probably
probably
not.
not. Yeah, because we're in the United States, so we really wouldn't know. I'm sorry if we get it wrong.
No, no, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Apologize for that. But I swear I mean, maybe they're not getting their genetics. Maybe they don't know how to grow. Maybe they should watch our show. No. They can grow some good weed.
There's so many possibilities, maybe just the stuff that gets imported in isn't the best.
Yeah,
So thanks, man.
yeah.
Everybody's trying to make a buck, so they grab that cheap stuff and slap a few bills on it. What, we got some more comments in the section?
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, to be honest, if something feels off, or 369 Shama, I would definitely not smoke it just due to the fact, sometimes you can get reliable things on the streets, sometimes you cannot. And it's all of who you know and who you got it through and where they got it through. And if you know that for a fact, pretty much, while in a dispensary, you can know exactly what you got. So.
Even dispensary, because like if the
Trust
dispensary
your intuition or your intuition, though. Yeah,
knows,
yeah,
but even in a dispensary, if they're outsourcing their product or if they're growing their product indoors, either way, again, those nutrients that we feed plants with they don't have to tell you every single thing that's in that bottle. So if they're feeding their plants with a cheaper kind of nutrient, maybe because they're trying to make that money, cut those costs somewhere, but that cheaper nutrient has heavy metals or something bad in it, and it's not labeled on that bottle because it doesn't have to be, and that's not going to help them sell it. So why would they put that on there? But it's getting into your buds. But, it's just all these little things that can happen that can contaminate that bud. So even from a dispensary, you don't really know unless you sit down with them and say, okay, what nutrients did you use? Where did those nutrients come from? What was the tracking numbers? Let's run those back. There's so much more you have to
Yeah,
do.
there's so much, but even on the streets, you don't know, and you got to
And
be
on the
careful.
street, you have no idea. There is no tracking numbers. There is
Yeah,
no trying to figure anything out. It's just it came from someone.
exactly. So, I mean, essentially, it's got to be one of those things where, you got to trust your intuition. Exactly. And,
Yeah,
you
know
know,
kind of what you're looking
they
for.
said they're going
If it's some brown frown, or if
to,
it's some like
yeah,
smelling, or if it's a really strong ammonia and it's not a piss kind of cultivar, like some kind of cheetah piss or whatever one of the other pisses, then you probably shouldn't smoke that one.
yeah, yeah. I would just go with your, feeling. You know how cannabis and concentrates and things like that feel, and if it just doesn't feel right, then it probably honestly isn't right. That would be my best suggestion.
Right.
Always get any type of cannabis you get from a reliable source because there are people that are, they sell other things, and we can't talk about what things like specifically, but they could use the same scale and then that can be cross contaminated and then all of a sudden you're
Yep.
not just high off pot. So be careful, or keef or hash or whatever the case may be. And I'd be even more weary if it was a concentrate, because there's was so many ways that people can just cut corners that may be bad for your health with concentrates.
Especially,
Yeah.
yep, definitely. Right, we got some more stuff on the docket coming up.
Yeah, we do. It says the marijuana component CBD reduces epileptic seizures at twice the rate of medication. New science reviews shows. Well, would you look at that?
CBD though, it's not the
Yeah.
psychoactive thing.
Now there was a case. It's called Charlotte's Web. This little girl had. She was 5 or 6 years old. She had like 500 seizures a day, kind of family, and her parents had no other, choice but to put her in like a medicated a coma or a medical coma until they figured out what was causing the seizures, because it was causing her damage or her body so much damage. But long story short, this is where the silver lining comes, is they moved her to Colorado and tried cannabis, because they've tried everything at this point but this, and they wanted to see if it helped, and it gave her up to one seizure a day, if that. So this kid was able to have a better quality of life because of cannabis. So, I mean, and that documentary came out, I think, in 2010, 2012. So, with that being said, I do think there is physical documented proof. And if you don't believe me, go ahead and look up a strand called Charlotte's Web. Again, that's Charlotte's Web on YouTube, and you'll know everything, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. It was actually a strand, made dedicated to her, basically grown because it's just pure CBD and a very high level of it, with I think little to no THC.
Right.
Yeah, so, and it was used for her, specific condition, and it required a lot higher amount of CBD. So it's actually, if you're into CBD for whatever reason, and you may not be into growing cannabis, but you like growing CBD, I would recommend Charlotte's Web. So
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I gotta kind of say. Well, and, it helps seizures and it helps better in medicine. I imagine it does.
that's interesting that it does help with seizures and stuff like that. But it makes sense because of what CBD does in the brain. So it's interesting. Got some more on the docket? Or are we?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Just answering um dumbass email there. Yeah, it was about cookies or something. I
Yeah,
had to tell him I wasn't interested in cookies.
no,
Um,
they're trying to sell you auto insurance.
no, it was actual cookies. Phone's going off. Let's see here. A lot of people shift to outdoor marijuana cultivation could be cut in the industry by emissions up to 76%, study finds. So, cannabis in a long-term form. Okay, guys, I don't want to bore you, but cannabis, when it's grown outside, sucks the intoxicants out and acts as a filter. There's science behind this, but I don't want to bore you guys. Like I said,
so it helps replace and remove the toxins from the earth. It also provides 6 times more oxygen than an actual tree. So cannabis being put outside would, reverse the recreational footprint that it would be leaving. It would be grown too fat, much too often, and require too much electric and concrete being poured in buildings and this and that. Than them just moving cultivation to outside and let it actually help the earth and kind of filtrate it. So, I mean, that's kind of my opinion on it. I think they could leave, for those states and places that are able to grow all year. But I still think they should have the ability to grow inside if they want to as well.
So what I'm hearing is not only is it potentially beneficial to your health at moderation, but it's also beneficial to the planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. 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 It is.
Such a demonized plant, but
Yeah.
so beneficial in so many
Yeah.
ways.
I just said how it was beneficial to a small child that had no quality of life until the cannabis plant was introduced into her life. And we just mentioned that.
And,
It's
and,
it's
and it
crazy.
cleans up the earth too,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. It's pretty cool the amount of things this plant could be potentially used for. I think that some of those strands that are less desirable we could just use to soak all the toxins right out of the earth and then just go ahead and get rid of those strands.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and here's freaking yeah, it can act as like an environmental sponge, and then just get rid of them. Yeah, kind of cleanse the earth. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Let's see what's going on with chat.
I'm sure we've done just so much damage to the earth between putting lead in gasoline and all the crazy chemicals we've played with over the years, and not to mention the stuff we do with the skies.
369 Shama, absolutely. Remember when you are smoking cannabis, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. That's what I'm going to go do. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to grab a bottle of water. But Harry, tell them how important it is to stay hydrated and how you can feel dizzy and stuff when you're smoking too much or just smoking, period, because it gives you mad cotton mouth.
Um, staying hydrated, all I do is drink Mountain Dew 24/7, 365. I just drink Mountain Dew all the time. Sometimes I'll get a tea in there every now and then, I gotta get a little bit of water, but I do the opposite of hydration. I go for Beck's Mountain Dew Nation. What do you say to that?
Well, what I say, Canna family, is if you don't like water, grab one of these. We're not sponsored.
Splash. No sponsored.
But yeah, not sponsored, but they're called Splash and they're cheap. They're relatively great. This tastes like acai berry and grape,
I've
and
tried
it is
one.
amazing.
They're all
Yeah,
but carbonation and the Mountain Dew and the caffeine with the lime and the lemon and the Mountain Dew. Yeah.
but when I vape and smoke a lot, I find that I'm drinking a lot more fluid and I have cotton mouth a lot. So anytime you feel your mouth or anything sticking together when you're smoking, that's when you should be drinking a lot of fluid. And you should do it. You should have like cold water, not Mountain Dew. But
Plenty of Mountain Dew.
no, no fucking Mountain Dew.
Now I'm a good influence. Drink all the Mountain
Yeah,
Dew.
no, drink. That's one of the worst pops you guys can drink. That and Coca-Cola. Don't drink
It will
fucking
make
Mountain
all your
Dew.
teeth
Fucking egg. Yeah, yeah. You don't want to fuck with Mountain Dew,
you
but
would like to keep might want to put down the can of Mountain Dew. It's too late
yeah,
for me. I'll just drink all the Mountain Dew now.
yeah. I mean, I'm bad too. I drink energy drinks, guys, every day, but I've been drinking them for years and I've been absolutely all right. Never had no problems. So I ain't worried. Let's see what's up in chat real quick.
We got some more comments in the chat.
Yeah. Smoky C is right. Smoky 420. It does dehydrate you. Just remember, and also, so if you've been working, it's hot, you've been sweaty, and you come and smoke, make sure you done took a cold shower before you do all that and cooled down.
I was bottle fed Mountain Dew,
Yep.
so now it's just a part of my natural way of life. It's like water to me.
Harry's all jacked up on Mountain Dew. He'll come at you like Spider Monkey. Yeah, no. But seriously, yeah. I'd say drink water, Gatorade, green tea, sweet tea, whatever you like drinking, just, make sure you always have something to hydrate like water because it can make you feel dizzy
Oh, the
or
Mountain Dew.
flavored water.
Oh,
Yeah, Harry drinks gallons of Mountain Dew a morning.
I there was a time where my daily regiment was at least a gallon of Mountain Dew every day.
Guys, we would film for like 4 to 6 hours sometimes, and there'd be like 15, 16, 18 cans there.
I've gotten better. There's only 3 kids here now.
Yeah, it used to be a whole stack. I'd look over and there's a fucking castle of empty Mountain Dew cans. I'm like, damn, bro, I didn't even see you drink that many.
I used to get really bad,
Like,
really bad.
and keep in mind, I drink 2 energy drinks a day, each 200 milligrams. I drink one in the morning and then wait hours until it's completely out of my system, drinking nothing with caffeine in it, and then drink another one. So I have up to 400 milligrams a day. And, I'm going through a 16-ounce can of family, keep in mind. And Harry's going through a whole castle full of fucking Mountain Dew.
A 12 pack at least.
Yeah, a case. It
Oh,
was a
that's
case
a 12
every
pack.
3 hours now. No, but seriously, sometimes it would be a case almost. So yeah, I mean, he'd be chugging Mountain Dew. I'd go over to his house and he had like 24 packs of Mountain Dew. I remember that. I'm like, damn, that's a lot of Mountain Dew, dude.
Well, soda used to be cheaper than beer, and I don't know what happened. Now beer is super cheap and soda's really expensive, and I'm like, I can't switch now. Yeah, alcohol just does not work the same as caffeine. Caffeine is just more useful to me. We got some more comments popping off in the section.
See, you know what? Shama 369 just pointed out a good point. I bet since Germany did it, and they're one of the main places in the Europe continent, that I'm thinking everybody's going to follow suit because, like you said in the comments section, you think Sweden's thinking about
Well,
legalizing.
isn't it
I
legal in
think,
the UK now?
yeah, but that's not.
Hasn't it been there for a while too?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. And I don't think it's legal in the UK
Well,
now.
what Drew is sharing, I saw a short he did where they was talking about they're in Britain they're prescribing vape pens to people.
Mm,
So I think it's legal there now.
it needs to be. I think people should be able
So
to allowed to smoke their weed pens.
so it might be slowly, spreading around, and it'd be great to see a world one day where we're not having a conversation about a a plant that's demonized across the globe to
Yeah, guys. Yeah, you always hear me. That's one thing you guys will probably get tired of eventually, but you always hear me or him bitching about how it's stupid, and it is, guys. And you all know it. I know we're tired of hearing it and stuff, but it is facts. We will always say something about it because it's just dumb to us as fuck.
it
It
doesn't make
really
sense.
is.
It
Yeah.
would make more sense if they were saying that the tobacco plant should be illegal and it should be demonized because if it's raining and you touch a tobacco plant and it happens to cut you, oh, guess what? You might die from nicotine toxicity now.
Yeah, yeah. And it's crazy that they regulate so heavily and it's like it's a plant that
I
people can
I
use.
could go
So,
home, grab my cannabis plant, take a bite out of it, and nothing's gonna happen to me. I'm gonna be fine. The plant's gonna be upset. I'm gonna be good.
yeah. There's going to be residual no effects. I mean, you might feel nauseous because you just ate raw, I mean,
Flower
when do you go
material.
outside your door and take a bite out of a plant? Never. I mean, unless you live on a fruit farm or something, you know. But yeah. Yeah, it's I think the European continent's going to take over and I think it should and I think it should happen and over in places like Russia, the Ukraine, I think that'd be good for them. We're not going to get into politics, but I think it'd be good for them to smoke some weed. I think it'd be good for German people to be allowed. Sweden's a beautiful place and there's so much fucking nice areas in there to garden in Sweden and areas of there. It's just really nice, to be honest. There's places in Germany. It's really nice, and the whole European continent. It's just a beautiful area. So I think they should be allowed to enjoy Mother Nature, and you know, live life. I don't understand why, one like we're, for instance, where we live, allowed to smoke weed, grow weed, but where they live, they can't do that. I mean, who gives a fuck if they do it or not?
And it seems
Yeah,
ridiculous. It
like,
seems it's
yeah, I don't understand if somebody's from fucking Sweden or if somebody's from fucking California or if somebody's from fucking yeah, Massachusetts or if somebody
Mexico,
is Mexico, if somebody's
Australia.
from Australia, Brazil, Africa, Guatemala, Beijing, China, Japan, like why can't you smoke weed? We're all people. Well, like if we want to take this plant and utilize it and use it every day, why
I
don't
feel
we have
like
that option?
I feel like it was just low hanging fruit, and it was just the easiest one to pick on because it stays in your system the longest, and there's a lot of telltale signs for if someone is a stoner, you know? So I think it was just low hanging fruit, and it was the easiest one to pick on, and that's the one and it's really it's beneficial to the earth, it's beneficial to most people's health, not everybody. There are some people that's just not their thing. But
Yeah,
for the
that's
most people
fine.
who do it, it is
You know,
beneficial to our mental health and it's beneficial to the environment and it's just good. Why would you want to go up against something like that? Maybe it's because they might be the opposite of good, maybe, if they're going up against it.
yeah, yeah, that is true. That is very true. I don't understand it. I never understood. I think everybody should have, a right to this plant. As long as you're human, it don't matter where you're from. I don't care if you're black, white, purple, rainbow, or what, state or city or country or yeah, as long as you're a human and you're breathing oxygen where I'm getting at, you should be allowed to smoke weed. I don't say or grow weed. Who gives a shit? Like, what's the big deal? It's a plant. Like, it's not like you're manufacturing weapons and ammunition. Not that I'm endorsing that or anything, YouTube. Don't age restrict this one, please. I'm just
Age
saying it's a
restricted.
comparison. It's a comparison. So, it's not like you're doing things of that nature. So anyway, I don't know. It irks me. I have so much more to say, but because I'm in front of a camera, I got to watch like the words I use.
Language.
Yeah, like cussing, basically, because I feel so strongly, and it's hard to find words without using emphasizing words. But it's stupid. And one day, I hope, as a world, we can all unite and smoke the plant. I think it would create world peace. And in essence, it's hard to be violent when you're smoking weed.
Well, actually,
So,
it, due to the amount of water consumption required to grow this plant across the entire world, we might empty the ocean and cause a greater war. That'd be the wars. We were supposed to cause war.
well,
Now we're in the water
well,
wars.
I ain't gonna lie, guys. When I use a vacuum and a hose, it helps, and I have catch pans, and it catches all my water. And I use a vacuum, and the 5-gallon thing gets full, and I just pour it back down my toilet. All my nutrient water that I pour through my plants and suck up through the tray when it collects, and then I push the vacuum out into my bathroom, which is right next door to my grow room, and I just pour it down the shitter. And Harry's got a hard ass problem with the water management. He hates feeding his plants.
Well, I mean, it's not that I
And
hate feeding them. I love giving them food and seeing them get bigger. The problem is when I have that same drip pan that you have, but instead of having a vacuum, I have a tiny baster that I use,
yeah.
or I have rubber gloves and some green microfiber racks that I can use as well to soak up the water and move it out of there and squeeze it into another container where I'll run it out to the space area.
Yeah, water's hard for Harry, and we all figure it out, but we know us growers, indoor growers, know that water management is everything, and sometimes it can be
It's
easy,
backbreaking.
and sometimes it can be ass breaking.
It's backbreaking. It
Absolutely, back
hurts.
breaking.
It's, I love feeding the plant, but like that. Well, once I get all that water out of that drip pan, I'm just like, close this tent. Let me go sit down and relax.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um,
They said CBD-rich cannabis offers potential benefits for people with autism spectrum disorder, scientific review finds. So, I've seen that, long story short, guys, with people with mental disorders, a lot of different disorders, whether it's, stress, anxiety, borderline personality disorder, intermittent explosive disorder, schizophrenia, borderline personality disorder, multiple personality disorder, paranoid, schizoaffective, all that stuff, all so on and so forth. I'm not a psychologist or anything, but I do notice, and there are studies and evidence that throughout the human mind, CBD does really help with, any type of um mental instability one may have, I would say, or any type of issue they may have in, like, if they have stress or anxiety or things. And I'm speaking on this because, I used to be prescribed aprazolam in heavy dosages, and I stopped taking it and smoked indica for the rest of my life, and I've been fine. However, it can help people with anxiety or stress, or even if you're just angry or, worried or anxious, or, you don't have to necessarily. So, I do know what I'm talking about. It does help people with that. I stopped taking that because of it. I don't want to give it its natural name. If you guys know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. YouTube will go ape shit. But it does help with CBD. CBD chills me out. It relaxes me. It helps me out. I like having it in strands, and that's why I like indica, because all indicas usually have a CBD content, not a high one. Some of them, even some sativas, have higher CBD. It all depends, can of family, what you're growing, what genetics you're working with. But it does help people, and I can testify to this study. I don't have autism or anything of that nature, but um you know um not knocking people that do, but I do have, freaking PTSD and a generalized anxiety disorder. So, I was medicated for that, so I can speak to other people that have autism, people that have, depression, people that have this, people that have that, schizophrenia, things of that nature. I think CBD in higher doses would help certain people. That's just my personal opinion from what I've seen over the years and the studies I've looked at, and, the psychology I've dove into over the years.
Yeah, it's interesting that CBD is the one that does so much. And the counterpart to that, THC, I'm sure it has other uses, but probably more. I think they maybe it's them both together though. It has to be both them both together, the THC and the CBD.
Well, no, because studies have shown that with those same type of people with, issues of all kinds, including ones like, what I have of mine, sorry if I'm using wrong terminology here, guys. I've been stoned, so don't take anything personal if I'm saying, saying anything wrong here. I don't mean no offense to anybody, but basically people with them generalized disorders, psychoactively THC could amplify or help. So
Right.
sometimes if you have disorders or issues, sorry again if I'm saying that wrong, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but you may,
Aggravate.
amplify, yeah, amplify those symptoms. Now, a lot of people with, disorders, that can do the opposite and calm them down. And plus adding CBD on it adds as, like, basically what would one consider a mood stabilizer, and chill you out, whether you're feeling anxious, worried, angry, anxiety, this, that, the other, you know.
CBD.
Yeah, yep, CBD. So CBD is, I believe, one of the medicines of cannabis. People's been using it since 115 BC, in the Japanese or the Chinese dynasty. In 115 BC, that's when the Mongolians and the Japanese were fighting. If you think about it, the Mongolians, like back in that time, they were using CBD as medicine. So
And it became over to Japan. It came to China, Afghanistan, the mountains of Afghanistan, and then you have some more Pacific areas like Jamaica, Africa, Indonesia, Afghanistan, places of that region and area that's more warmer and drier. Places like Africa and Afghanistan where it's drier, but cannabis was still growing fluently. You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe we
Um,
get some more comments in the comment section.
yeah.
Let's get popping tonight.
Oh no, they're just talking. Okay, cool. We have
All right.
yeah. Now they're using CBD pillowcases leads to improved sleep quality. Studies are finding. Well, again, we just got done covering that, but CBD pops up again. We ain't going to go into a long, not necessarily a tangent. That's something when you do when you're feeling passionate or angry about something. So, but I guess for lack of better words, a tangent on CBD, but it is medically beneficial, guys. If you're having, I don't care, I'm not a doctor, but if you're having pain in your knee, your back, your tooth,
That's right. That's right.
if you need to sleep, if you need appetite, like dude, I'm telling you,
So I remember
CBD will help you.
I
Yeah.
I remember the Mexican people had this trick with pain where they would soak the cannabis plant in an alcohol.
Was it tequila?
I don't know if it was tequila. It was probably more of a corn grain because you want to
Oh
get
yeah, whole
extra
grain
oxygen.
alcohol. Yeah, that's
And
true.
then they would put the alcohol cannabis tincture on the spot that was sore. It would take the pain away. I wonder if that had something to do with CBD.
I don't know. I don't know. I bet it did though. I bet the plant's
Because
properties.
that pillow could do something for pain, and it's a pillow you're laying your head on it, right? Or
Yeah.
putting it down on your
Yeah,
knee.
yeah. And I think your pores are absorbing the CBD or
It
maybe.
must be. It
Yeah.
must be. But THC doesn't work that way.
Yes, actually, it can be used in topical ointments and it can be absorbed through your pores. So if it's applicated to the pillow, I would guess in a way, maybe it could break some, maybe that's not how it works at all. I'm not stating that,
Yeah, I don't know if
guys.
that
Yeah, we
works.
don't know. We'll both straight up admit that. If we don't know something, we'll tell you. We're not going to act like we know what we're talking about. But again, CBD has knocked me out. I've had problems sleeping because if I'm working on a project, I just go and go, and then it's morning time, or, sometimes my sleeping schedule, or, I'm time blind. Me and Harry are terribly time blind.
Yeah, I don't know
So,
if it's been a minute or an hour.
yeah, it's 11:37 now. But anyway, yeah, we're time blind as hell. And it's just I don't know. I think it helps people personally. I think CBD is a good medication to be able to use and utilize for yourself. And I don't think it should be as priced as it is because it is hella overpriced. But again, everything in the pharmaceutical company. So
Well,
of
that,
course, they're going to amplify that price for an organic medicine, but it should be available to you more relatively cheaply, in my opinion, because it is an organic medicine, but it does help. And if you're using it for pain or chronic pain, you're like CBD doesn't help because you got to use it in very high doses. We're talking about 25,000 milligrams, 50,000, 100,000. And yes, it goes up that high, and there are tinctures. So, to those non users of CBD, now you got to be careful how much you use because it can cancel out the THC you use per day.
yeah, it's like the balancing act for THC and CBD. They balance each other out. So if you're having a freak out, but you took too much THC, a little bit of CBD could help balance you back down.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, that's somebody, if you're freaking out and you've used too much THC, make sure you have a THC or a CBD disposable because that will actually break down the THC and more molecules of CBD will fit into your brain receptors and it'll take out the THC and cancel it. So essentially, you're canceling out CBD.
THC with CBD.
Yeah, THC with CBD, I meant. So it helps in case you guys, take too much THC. There's a little bit of information. Let's see what happens here. Um, New York movie theaters. This is cool. They have a forthcoming thing where they're doing theaters could
I
sell
saw something
marijuana. Yeah. How fucking cool is that?
that one's kind of wild to me.
Me too. Like I've went to the movie theater umpteen times
They're doing
and
everything to get people
I
back in
mean,
those seats.
dude, I'm not gonna lie, man. We're not allowed to do it where we live, but I'm not gonna lie. I go to my local movie theater and I'll slap my vape and I'll hit my cart and I'll hit my disposable and I'll just get ripped. And I watch the whole movie and the whole theater's clouded by the time it's over. Nobody says anything. So it's like
I haven't been to a movie theater in a long time since the advent of streaming.
I think yeah, yeah, since YouTube. I mean, I don't watch no YouTube or
Since
TV or
COVID.
anything.
Are we
Yeah,
allowed to say that?
post COVID. Yeah, you're allowed to say post COVID. You just can't go into any crazy theories about it 'cause YouTube will ban the stream and age
I got
restrict
a
it.
new.
Yes, but we will keep them to ourselves.
Yep.
But um so can you imagine you invite your girlfriend or whatever, you just go to the movie by yourself, whatever the case may be, and you go there and some person, dude or chick, hands you a menu and you can order orange kush, bubblegum kush, platinum
Now,
kush.
is it actually
It's
vaping?
cannabis. It's smoking like actual light up or
That's wild.
vaping.
That's wild.
Yeah, you'll be allowed to vape marijuana, ouch, or fucking flower, so in the studio, which is really cool. I think it's innovative. I think a lot more studios and places should do that. I think we should have places we can smoke and enjoy things. Because, movies are better when you're stoned. Wouldn't you agree, Harry?
The real place that I would like to see cannabis get into is like a coffee shop or restaurant, some kind of place where we could utilize this a little bit more and really make some elaborate kinds of dishes, specialty foods that can be brought out to the table. I just think like maybe if you have a really ventilated theater, that might work. But if that you're gonna be going through lots of filters.
Yeah, yeah, you need an air duct system that's going to pull all that marijuana and vape smoke out. And that's why a lot of places don't like you because they do have what is known, and most you guys have them in your home, is central air heating and cooling. So as air that's sucked up into the building or out of the building, and it's air that's pushed in that's fresh and pushed through a filter. So eventually, them filters will get full of shit like pot smoke, vape smoke, disposable
Resin.
smoke. Yeah, resin. It'll get really sticky and resinous, and then it'll get really fluffy because of all the dust and shit. And then in turn, so they have to like pay for this expensive fucking extinguisher or not exhaust, my bad.
Exhaust system.
Yeah, exhaust system. And you got to sit there and pay for the experience and go there and order shit, and they got to do that. That's why I think a lot of business don't want to invest in that. They probably think it's too much of a liability. They probably think stoners will catch the building on fire, something stupid as fuck. But I'm glad New York is doing that. I think it's great and innovative. In the chat, let me know what you think about smoking pot in your movie theater. Would you like to go and order marijuana at your movie theater and be able to blow down some
I,
bubblegum kush or
okay, so this is my last thing thought is how the concession stand is
like this Minecraft movie is fucking great, man.
you would get a .5 distillate pen for like $100. That's
Yeah, that's one thing because I went to a restaurant a couple times with a female, like several times, dude, on and off. And in this restaurant, you could eat, you could smoke, all that shit. Or not smoke, but drink, my bad. So you couldn't smoke at all, no vaping or anything, but we did anyway. And we also hit our weed vapes, but she got some alcohol. I didn't drink. I just hit my weed vape and I ordered some food because I got the munchies and then I smoked my vape pen. But it ended up, man, it was expensive or like the movies were like 20 bucks between me and her, so that was 40. That wasn't bad. And then the food was like 20, 25, so it was like 80 some bucks, like all together. But I can imagine if you're ordering like cannabis stuff and you're like, I want a half ounce, we'll blow
You're
down
not
today.
gonna
No, not from a fucking like they're probably gonna pass out joints. I don't know. They didn't say specifically. They just now like added it to the movie theater. So they're not gonna be like, here's a donkey dick sized fucking joint at the door, you know.
I doubt it, man.
You
That stuff's
know.
gonna be double the price of what you see in the dispensary. I guarantee it.
Yeah,
I
dude. Yeah.
guarantee it. It's gonna be double
Yeah.
the price and half the amount.
Yeah, yeah. And they're gonna tax the shit out of you, dude.
You
You're
might as
gonna
well
be
just
like,
sneak
what
in
the
your own.
fuck? Yeah. You're gonna have to sneak what you do, I'll tell you what you guys do. You go to these weed places, like, weed movie theaters and bring your own fucking weed.
Just like you do
Bam,
your
mind
snacks.
blown. Just like you do your snacks at the movie theater, man. Damn right, Harry.
Just huff it down in the car. Go ahead and huff it down in your seat. Let those lights
Damn
go
right,
out.
man. Yeah, I gotta say, but fucking I don't know. I think it's a great idea. I wish they
It's
had
cool.
it years ago. Like that would have been fucking great, but
They're definitely gonna get some
you know.
seats. At least the people that can afford it, they're definitely gonna go to the movies just to be able to buy bud and smoke in the movie theater.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I gotta say, it's innovative. Hopefully, more states do it. Again, guys, we came in late because we were filming a bunch of videos for you guys. We had a lot to do today. We appreciate you guys. Shout out to everybody in chat. Much love. We will be in here again Monday for sure, Canna family.
Like earlier than 7.
Yeah, hopefully earlier. I've got to write some scripts and do some videos, and hopefully we get started a little earlier. We got to a late start, so we apologize again. We came up with as much content as we could for this stream. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you could give us a thumbs up, we greatly appreciate it. We will be doing so much more. We're just waiting on the weather here where we're at. It's quite cold at night and warm during the day. It just don't make sense. And most of the time it's raining. It is springtime. So, Canna family, with that being said, this is Harry Cola. And I'm Dustin from Two Buds in a Jar, your host. And I will see you guys next stream. Much love. And there will be more content coming this week. Later, guys.